Hi, guys. Welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. We have another great show coming up. I have Angela Gentile with us, and welcome to our show.
Hello,
But
hello.
before we get started, we have a sponsor. I wanted to put it out there really quick, but I'm going to ask you, how many weddings have you been to in the past 10 years? Yeah.
Oh, me? I thought I wasn't sure if this was part of the ad. Oh gosh.
Oh, it's no act. I'm act.
Maybe like five. I'm in
Five.
my 40s now, so like I feel like everybody like I did a lot of that
Yeah.
earlier. I'm going
Yeah.
to divorce parties at this point. So.
Hey, they're a thing. And yeah, a separation and divorce parties. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being single again parties and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Life on Record, they're really cool. They came out with instead of doing a regular guest book, they do the vintage rotary phone that
Oh,
you can pick
cool.
up. You can say, congratulations, guys. Happy life together. But you can talk for 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 30 minutes if you want.
Okay.
Okay. But they do put a QR code right next to there so your guests can scan that too. And they can leave a message whenever, even if it's during or after, just from their cell phones. After you get all those messages, they will burn it on a 12-inch vinyl record, or they put it in this cute little boom box. I know, right? And it looks like a little jamming boom box. So I guess it's like a year anniversary. I don't know how many people actually read the book again on the anniversary. I know I never did, but I would definitely pull out the record or the boombox and listen to voices, because you know what? That's what it's about. Hearing the
Yeah.
voice and the energy and the love coming through the box or the records. But plans only start at $99. You get this phone number for a year. So that's a great thing about it. So, you know what? You just got to check them out. They're an awesome company. It's www.lifeonrecord.com. All right. Well, we're going to get to you, Angela. So,
Yeah. Let's
Angela, you,
chat. Let's go.
yeah, let's go with this. So it says you were a former school teacher and turned into a social disruptor. I hope I said that right. Entrepreneur, podcaster, speaker, kind of badass unicorn. And yes, a professional hype woman and MC who uses storytelling to create impactful events, podcasts, and workshops. Well, you do a lot.
I do. I
Love it
do.
already. I mean, yeah. So definitely, we're going to have fun. We're going to talk. Tell us about you
Oh,
and how
where do
you
I
got to
begin?
where you are.
Oh man, I mean I mentioned it earlier, I'm like in my 40s now, so I think there's a level of wisdom and self-acceptance that comes, and it's a really beautiful place filled with confidence and a lot of peace, a lot of focus, a lot of vision, and it wasn't always that way.
Yep.
But that's why I like to call myself a disruptor and a badass unicorn, because I don't fit the social norms and the conventional status quo of like get married, have a baby, have a house, and the golden retriever and all that. Like I kind of throw my middle finger up to that and say, do something that feels more aligned for you, because I just never felt right for me. And yeah, and I have now a platform and an audience and a voice to be able to sort of trailblaze a little
Yeah.
bit for women
Yeah.
who may not want that life either. And I don't knock it. I think it's really beautiful. I like I love being an auntie, but I think for some of us who didn't choose that or can't have it or
Yeah.
circumstances or whatever, like there's still a place to be valued and loved and supported and celebrated. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's sort of what I'm doing
definitely.
now.
See, I'm
Yeah.
in my 40s too, and I grew up thinking that was the way it had to be. Do it in this order.
Yeah.
Oh man, I would have done
Yeah.
it backwards if I could have thought about
Do
it.
you know do you know what I mean? I think like
Uh-huh.
had I had, because it I've always felt this way, but I think I hated myself for feeling this way for a really long time. Like there was something inherently wrong with me because I
No.
just didn't but do you know what I'm saying? Like when I
Yeah.
was 25, 35, like something's wrong with you, Ange, because everybody else around you is choosing this and what's wrong with you. And I think now that I know where I
Yeah.
stand and what life can be like, I think that's why having this platform and sort of creating a different conversation around womanhood and celebrating, because I think even if you do choose to get married and have a baby, like all your celebrations stop after what, like 32 years old? That's it. You don't ever
What do you mean,
get
birthday
another joyful.
celebrations? Get another
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah, but if that, but that's like kind of not a big celebration. And I see things on the internet all the time, like the next, if you don't choose those things, the only time people will be gathered for you is at a casket. And I just,
Well, I hear your point on that.
you
So,
know,
yeah, I mean, I want people to celebrate who I am now, but because of all my health issues, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm doing podcasts that be able to watch these videos and still see me. Kids clean the room as they watch this
yeah,
one. But you know what? The other thing, my photography, I was like, I don't want people to stand over a casket. Oh, she was a great wedding planner and a great photographer, and she did podcasts. Oh, we'll miss you. And they're
mm,
all gloomy, whatever. No, I'm going to hire Mr. Bill Cody at Party Time, Texas, and we are going to have the biggest party. I don't
why
want
not?
anybody to be sad, but make it about celebration during these times too. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm
like,
saying. I think there's so much that we could celebrate, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Did you
yeah,
start a business? Amazing. Did you like remodel your house? Hell yeah. Did
yeah,
you like get a new puppy? Like there's so many things that we should be coming together on. And I think
yeah,
even if you have kids, even if you have a husband
yeah.
or a wife or whatever, I just think if there would be so much more joy and we'd be on a different frequency if we just celebrated awesome stuff. That's all.
I like you. Like, I'm gonna hire you. Yeah. So there is an event for every occasion. Here's the way I look at it. If they can take the calendar and put like, oh, it's pizza day. Oh, it's this day. Why can't
Yeah.
we celebrate? Do you need a DJ for pizza day?
That's
To
what I
bring
do. What are we celebrating? What are we hyping up? How do I tell the story? You
oh,
know?
where pizza was created and born.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so there's always something, and definitely, for the industry I work in, being those things, a photographer, the podcaster, like I said, I work for an amazing company, Party Time Texas, and that's what we do. People can come to us and say, hey, I have this budget and I can only spend this on a party. We will create it, work with your budget and get it out there. So, which is
Yeah.
really cool. So, yeah, that's Party Time's sponsor part. I had to throw that in at the end. I did it right now. So, but, definitely. So, I mean, you look like, I was reading about you also. Um, do you work out a lot? Like, are you in the gym or?
Yeah. So I used to when I was a public school teacher, that was like the most miserable part of my life.
Oh,
Um, it's because it wasn't what I wanted to do, right? If we're talking about like sort of following the standard,
yeah.
I grew up in the 80s. I went to high school in the 90s. Like I did not have the internet for some of my high school,
I
you know
know,
what I mean?
right?
Like we didn't have Google. You had to figure out how to get your behind to the library, go to the card catalog, then
Yes.
sit down, look some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we. So I didn't know. I didn't know. I kind
Yeah.
of grew up in a small town in Massachusetts and
Yeah.
then moved to a small town in Connecticut. And I just didn't know what to be. And it was like, oh, well, yeah, just go be a teacher. And I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know if like, I don't think that that's it, everybody. But what else was I supposed to do? Be a nurse or a teacher? Like those are
Yeah.
sort of my options. And I did. And then I got a career in radio for a while, like as an intern. I was like, I love this. And then
Yes.
something was like, no, Angela, you can't just party all the time.
Yeah.
You have to get a real job. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll go be a teacher. But it was sort of reluctant and it wasn't really in alignment with what my spirit and who I am as a personality. Like people
Yep.
who meet me now, like, I can't see you being a teacher. I was like, no, because I was a great teacher, but a horrible employee. Horrible employee. Um, yeah. And when my father passed away suddenly, that's like what was the catalyst for me to be like, I'm done. I'm done. My dad died in my mid 30s, and I was like, I'm out of here.
I'm
I'm not going to
sorry.
spend one more second. Yeah, thank you. One more second of my life being miserable, not living. Like my dad just dropped dead from an aneurysm. So at any point that could happen to any of us. And I was like, why? Why am I wasting time doing things that don't feel good, that don't serve me, that don't light me up? Like I'm literally miserable. I cry and I'm having panic attacks on the way to work. Like this ain't it. This is not it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then that's sort of where I pivoted. Like after my dad died in December of 2015, I came back in January and I was like, all right, I'm a coast out of here. Just
Good.
showing up in sweatpants. It's like Miss G doesn't care. I love you guys, but I like don't care about this. Like I'm done. And kids are so cool. I love them all. The kids were always so amazing, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I started my fitness career with that, like running a wellness program at my school for the teachers. And yeah, that really took off. And then I started sort of positioning myself at other schools to teach wellness programs for the teachers because I was like, this job blows. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Everybody's stressed out. We need a release. Like, can we be taken care of? So I started getting contracted at schools around the Boston area. And then it was about to be a conflict of interest. And I was like, nope, I'm done. I quit. So then I ran with a fitness career and created a brand called Sweat Remix, which is a mindful fitness brand that remixes meditation, mindfulness, and like hardcore fitness. So it's a very, mind, body, soul experience that helps you
Yeah.
release negative energy and get grounded in yourself. So most
Awesome.
of that, yeah, most of that is on demand now because of COVID. And I just, never went back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we do.
You see, I hear a lot of stories. I was just at a networking group about branding and, getting out there and how people need to start going to the media, like to also talk about their businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also personal to get to know the person too behind the brand of what you're selling. That is so important. So,
Mm-hmm.
like when they mentioned podcasts, I'm like, hey guys, I'm right here if you want to interview.
Yeah.
Like, because that is important. Like, even in the event industry, we're always getting taught that, be the one. What is your niche? What makes you different from everybody else? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
it's
I think
hard work.
your personal story is what really sets it apart. And even
Yeah.
though, people lose loved ones all the time, but I think it's the combination of your own revelation in the situation that helps
Yeah.
you to create something powerful. And that's why I think I'm so passionate about storytelling, like through movement, storytelling through my podcast, storytelling with
Yeah.
events. It's about
Yeah.
reading and feeling energy and how to create a narration of
Gotcha.
what do we do in this event? How do we get people from start to finish? And
Yeah.
how do I manifest like a ringleader, like an energy
Yeah.
ringleader?
Hey, that works.
Yeah.
Because, it is about energy and how you are looked at across, not being judgmental or anything. You just want to have that good energy when you're talking to other people to bring them in and show them,
Yeah.
hey, like for Keep Hope Alive podcast, this is it. It's all true stories and interviewing real people and getting to hear. And you know what? With all the stories I get on this podcast, it helps heal my soul
I'm
too. And
sure.
you're learning something new all the time. So I'm very excited. But it happened you mentioned this, and it's sad because it's coming up on a year. My best friend passed
Oh,
last year around
I'm so
December
sorry.
11th. And even though I feel like it was December 9th, I'll just say 11th. But it's been hard because we talked every day, like right at 5 o'clock when I
Thick
was
as
on.
thieves. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I have no one to talk to. Where are you? What am I going to do? But here I am helping other people. And I know she would be so proud of me right now. So
I'm sure what's her name?
Charity. And
Charity, we love
I
you. We
know,
feel you, girl.
yeah, up there too. I mean, she had a lot of chronic pain, and that's how I met her, was going through the Chronic Pain Foundation and stuff. And she got into this program of doing what was it, cards for warriors. And one day I always told her, no, I don't need that, save it for somebody else, but I do have a lot of chronic pain. And she tricked me about a month before her passing. What's your address? I need to know your address. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You're out there in Indiana, you don't need my address, are you coming here? But I gave it to her anyways. And then all these cards started floating in. And I'm like, but I feel bad. I don't even do Christmas cards anymore. I don't have time to write back all the time, you know? And they're
Yeah.
like, you don't have to. You just receive. But every time I receive, I pray over the person who wrote it. And hopefully, you know, that is my way of saying I appreciate you for everything you've done and stuff. So
Yeah, and she feels that, and that you feel that. You know what I'm saying? That's why you feel compelled to do it still.
yeah, and she used to yell at me, don't do this, don't do that, so I don't have my second mama. You know, it's
Yeah.
fun. I'll talk to her daughter every now and then, sweetest girl in the world. And you know, it's troublesome. You know, we are going through this, and I always want to make sure she's doing okay. So I feel like
Yeah.
a mama all of a sudden to her daughter.
Yeah, for her too.
And I love it, because if she watches this, Cheyenne, I love you and I'm here for you. So
What up, Cheyenne? Hey, girl. You are loved, you are supported, and
yes, and
you'll
love and
figure out and be strong through this loss for sure.
yeah,
For sure.
definitely. So from schooling, like you said, you followed your dream, you followed your passion, and you're now at your career stage. So I always say you forecast your market. So have you done that yet for 2024?
I'm kind of in a transitional place a little bit. Like I'm moving, and just sort of resting. You know, I've had a big emotional upheaval in the past 6 months. Again, more loss. So, you
Oh
know,
boy.
yeah, I think what my projection is for the new year is to grow my podcast. Really, like it's kind of blowing up. I never thought, can I swear? I should,
You
I
can
should have asked
swear.
that.
We're already swearing
Okay.
on the show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I didn't think anybody gave a shit about what I had to say. I didn't think anybody cared. And now I have like a global podcast in 47 countries, and it is just stories of millennials, like people like me who
Yeah.
are doing things outside of the norm and outside of the box. And it just shows me that there is a real community of people who often feel othered.
Yes.
And this is like the safe place to land of like, hey, I see you. Are you into something weird? Amazing. You know?
See, I love watching, having the podcast, and I have people in London and Australia and Canada, and it's like, wow, we're really keeping hope alive, you know, because seeing all these people, the word is getting out, you know, and it's fun. Like I think we found each other through
on the Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
there's
that was good. That was good.
Pretty powerful Facebook group that unites people, and I've met some of my like soul sister friends, you know, so it's really I think the podcast community is this new, I don't know, weird thing that it's just a different medium that connects people, whether it was, you know, in-person checkers at the park. Now, you know, we just have digitized so many things to be able to share stories. We used to story tell in person around the water cooler or whatever, and now we just do it in this digital platform, and it has such a greater reach, which I think is huge. It's profound. That's really profound.
And everybody needs to be heard, and everybody has that story. So, you know, I thought it was different because I was at my little cheers, and I was talking to an older gentleman, and I was like, yeah, I do a podcast. A pod what? I was like, Yeah, and he goes, well, I don't care what the pod is. I don't do any of those casting things, and I don't want this, and I would never listen to it. I'm just old school. But you know what? Yeah, I
You
don't
have to
think,
evolve. You have
yes,
to
you
evolve.
have to evolve. And I was like, you don't have to watch us because it's audio too. So just put in your AirPods and, you know,
You don't drive in the car and need something to
exactly,
listen to. Like that's I walk
ex
my dog, I listen to podcasts. I sometimes drive into Boston and it's an hour and a half and you
yeah,
know,
it's a great time to listen to a podcast,
yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
and it's fun. I mean, we'll be truthful, we'll be honest on these. And, you know, if we do say a bad word, we do say a bad word.
Oh yeah. I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about. I don't follow those rules by good and bad. Well, I gotta say what I want. I say what I want.
Yeah, you need to. You got to be
Yeah.
yourself on these shows.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yeah.
all right. And I'm like trying to see what is it that you do for fun? Like, do you go out and release energy? I know mine is I have to sing and let it all out.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Do you go like karaoke or do you
Yes,
sing some like
definitely
okay, cool.
karaoke.
Cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I mean, I think working out has always, I'm a pretty kinesthetic person, so I think working out has always been the way that I find self-connection. It's very meditative for me. I'm
that's
not
good.
the sit in a cross-legged position and om. That's not my jam. But I find
That's good.
meditation through movement, through walking, through running, any kind of repetitive moment, like motion.
Yeah,
So yeah,
motion.
working out is my release. I dance. I work, like I said, I work in events. So sometimes I'm just hyping people up. Like, what a job, right? I get to go to an
Okay, go
event on,
into that. I want to know about what
yeah,
kind of dance, girl, for
yeah,
event.
well, yeah, I know I sound like a sex worker, but I'm not. And
Yeah,
even if you are a sex worker, that's cool, do your thing. But I work at for entertainment companies. I get it contracted for various entertainment companies and events, and I dance as like I'm like a paid life of the party.
but isn't that cool? I mean,
What a
yeah,
horrible job, right? Like I didn't realize that this existed, but yeah, like I'm a paid hype woman. I'm a paid dancer to because nobody wants to be the first person on the dance floor. I mean, I don't
I know.
care. I would do that anyways, but I think a lot of people get intimidated and they're like, I don't know. So basically I'm a permission. You know, I give permission for people to be on the dance floor and I just radiate energy and
Yes,
dance and vibe and yeah,
that's
and
what
hype
I
people up.
do. Okay, because I had to learn all these different dances, and as a photographer, you know, I watch feet. What are they doing at what time? You know, I calculate it. You know, even country dancing. I'm not into country dancing that much, but I'll go watch and learn it and stuff. But I will be the one to start on the dance floor if we're doing the
It's
wobble,
beautiful.
the Cupid shuffle, you know,
Yeah.
what is it? Copperhead Road. I know that's country. I learned it. I
I don't
do.
know. That's some Texas things right there. I don't know about that. I don't know
No,
what
no,
that
no, no,
is.
no. But I had to learn it. And you know that I am the sales and marketing director for this entertainment company, Party Time.
Beautiful. Are you hiring? Do you need anybody?
Yes.
I'll
Do
try
you
out.
travel? Do you
I
come to
do. I
places?
do. I
So if you
do.
need a life at the party, see, we got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I love that. I think, you know, rather it's I think that's what the beauty of this is too, right? Like rather than feel that you are I don't want to say trapped, but you're not forced to share your gifts in a specific location. Like I
Yeah.
travel all over the place. I'm going to Atlanta in February. I've been out to Ohio, you know, like I'm excited to
That's
get
good.
into some bigger markets too and hosting events. And
Yes.
I think what people miss out on sometimes about hosting or why they need somebody to do this is it's like I will find a way to weave Taylor Swift into freaking anything, but I will right now. I am a woman in her 40s obsessed with this girl and her cats. Like I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. I don't care. But I think when you go to a concert and you go to somebody who is a performer, so if you like Madonna, Britney,
Yeah.
you know, Michael Jackson, like a performer,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, like they curate the energy, they tell you and they take you on a journey and on a ride. And I think when you have the right person leading your event, there is a specific like feeling and emotion that that
Yeah.
person can lead you and have you feel from the start throughout, and there's like always an ending, like a takeaway if it's done correctly, if it's
Yeah.
done with someone who is empathetic and aware and can connect with people. So I think that's what people miss out on with events and stuff. Like, well, I don't know if I need a host, but even with corporate events, yes, you do.
Yes,
That is
you
even
do.
more where you need a host, because people are falling asleep. And especially because people get, it's business, so people get a little nervous and they don't want to like unleash and unload like in a corporate setting, but there's a way
Yeah.
to do it where people can let their guard down and relax, and then they become more open and receptive to whatever event this is, building
Mm-hmm.
connection, gaining insight, whatever you want them to do and whatever the purpose of it was for. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
I think that's why I love what I do, and just being able to connect with people, and who knows, maybe I'll be in Texas next month. Be great.
Hey, well, you have to come and visit me. We'll have to go
Well,
out to some
where in
karaoke.
Texas are you?
Dallas area.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, definitely. I've been out here for about 35 years, maybe. Yeah, around that much. And then I was born in New Jersey, exit 4. So, but yeah, I came here and I grew up with my dad being the biggest Eagles fan. So I'll just put it out there. Me and my son are Eagles fans.
I
We're in
I don't
Texas.
know anything about football, so right on. Yeah, go Eagles.
Yay! So
Whatever.
you're like, my son's into football, so I had to pick up on it. And then I became football mom, and I was like, this is cool. But it was like the boys, and we had a girl on our team, they were the coolest, It'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, have good positive vibes, get out there. And one kid would always come back to talk to me. I go, what are you doing next to me? There's the field. Go. So, but then it'd be like, I'm hungry after their practice. And I'm like, where's your mom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. It was good times. But with the
Yeah.
podcast starting, I had to let go of one thing. I'm going to still go to football games and support in any kind of way. But I sadly had to say, I can't be football mom anymore.
Sometimes it's okay. He'll understand.
I think in my heart, I'll always be football mom.
Football mom. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know the kids will still see me as that, so it's always
Yeah.
a good thing, but
Yeah.
definitely. So,
Because support can look different. It doesn't always have to be in the form of like physical support, like I'm here for you at this moment, at this game. Like it can be emotional, it can be in other ways. So
yeah,
even though you're not
definitely.
there, there's
Yeah,
all different forms of support.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the times that I get sent away if I have a photo shoot to do, and
Mm-hmm.
the coaches are really nice to go from a 45-minute drive to take my son back home, which is very nice. I owe him some a free photo shoot, him and his family probably. So you
To
better
do all
collect
the
on that.
football pictures, do the football
I
pictures. Do
already
they?
did. I already did. Each
Okay.
member got individual. If they got in with the brothers,
Beautiful.
yeah. So we did it in different ways like that. But
Cool.
that is one thing. And as we go through life, it's a journey, and we learn from everything that we do. So putting
Yeah.
together, it's not my first rodeo on companies. I started off as a wedding planner, so I had that going. I was planning events and
Ooh.
doing all this stuff. And then I started with meetup.com and ran the DFW event planning meetup group for 8 years.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
helping everybody. But what I had to learn out of that 8 years, I wasn't doing anything for me. I was more invested in helping others. And I
Yeah.
was like, I would hear, are you getting paid for that? No. But,
Yeah.
it's just that has always been in my blood. I have another networking group now, years and years later. And I picked that up about 2 months ago and said, we're going to go full blown after, all this hectic party planning, which would be in January. So I got to start planning our next meeting and everything, but just high hopes for everything. So,
Yeah.
so are you doing anything fun for the holidays? Do you have that all? No,
Solo, me and my dog.
you and your dog. Okay. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, again, I think this goes into my ethos of do what you feel and do what feels right. I'm moving and I'm not going to be close to my family and I'm not going to come back. So I'm just going to enjoy like some
Yeah,
time. I don't think like personally, I don't believe that you need a holiday to spend time with people you care about. I don't like
exactly.
the pomp and the circumstance
Hmm.
around it. I think if we yeah, it feels like pressure to me.
It does.
And yeah, you know.
It really does. I mean, I even made a comment, I think it was to my cousin, but I wanted to do this. It's always been just birthdays, not anniversaries, but birthdays or a holiday that we see our family. But it's my little 11-year-old and my 21-year-old. Why can't we just see the family whenever? Why does it
Mhm.
have to be a holiday? They
Yeah.
recognize that. I hope when they get married and have kiddos, they see that and enforce it.
Yeah.
But my cousin, she has put on a couple get-togethers without it being a major holiday, which we have fun. There was no pressure. We go upstairs and you remember that game, You Don't Know Jack?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
No.
When the computers were all weird printy things and stuff, and you had bowling and Family Feud and Wheel of Fortune on there, but then you had
No.
that game, it's trivia questions. Well, they have it on TV. I guess you plug it into your TV, but everybody plays from their phone. And it's so fun. So
Oh, I
that's what
have
we
played
do.
that. I've played something like that. Maybe not that game, but I know what it is. And you
Yeah.
can like answer and you type
Yeah.
in. Yeah, that's fun. That is
Yes.
fun.
And you can pick on other people, like what would she say or he say, and you gotta guess if that answer would be right.
Hmm.
And I remember my cousin, he put on the TV his answer, I run a podcast. And I'm like, are you calling me out?
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
those little things, those memories and everything. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I think
okay.
I think holidays time is tough too because it's like right when it's the anniversary of my dad's passing and it's just not. I think it's just not a joyful time of year. It's a very painful and also I get reminded it's
Yeah.
a time that I check in and I'm like, "Oh shit, am I doing like how did I do this year? What do I
Yeah.
need to do next year?" So it's more of like an internal time for me that is a celebratory time, you know?
I
So
hear
I
you.
just have I make my own traditions. I do my own thing. So it's okay.
Yeah, girl, I get it because I grew up with the birthday January 28th, and back in the day, that's when Super Bowl was always on. So I
Always,
was put
yeah.
on hold. Like, no, we'll celebrate your birthday the next day, or like, no, we got to watch this, and then we'll do something small for you in the evening.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And then
We
it was years,
had
it's been
football
over.
birthdays growing up.
My aunt passed on my birthday, so now it's different.
Mm,
And
hmm.
it's like I always think about my aunt now. And I guess I'd like to make it a big deal about my birthday because I'm a party planner and I
You
like
need
it.
to. Yeah. But who
But
says it has to be on your birthday? Like
no,
maybe you do
yeah,
it for
all
February,
January. I
you know?
My daughter has all February.
Yeah, so
But I
March,
have all
whatever. You
January.
pick a date. It doesn't have anything to do for your birthday. Like I said, coming back first full circle because I know we're about to wrap up. Celebrate whatever you want, however you want. That's it. That's the theme of it. Bring more joy. If you want to have a damn party for a birthday that is in January and you want to have it in August, hell yeah. Go do it. Go
Gotcha.
celebrate.
Well, before we get wrapped up, I want to learn more about your podcast. God
Yeah.
bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, the Empowered Millennials podcast sort of stemmed off of what I was doing with fitness and coaching, which turned into like life coaching and just all of these little wise nuggets of Angela isms that were coming up and I was sharing them on Instagram and so many people were like, "Angela, you need to have a podcast. You need to have a podcast. You need to have a podcast." And I was like, I don't know how to do that. I like bang rocks together. Like I'm Wilma Flintstone when it comes to technology. I don't know how to do this. And then I just did it. Then I was just like, okay, enough people are telling me you're funny. You need to have a podcast. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And
Yeah.
yeah, now the Empowered Millennials, like I said, is in over 47 countries. And it I find really incredible guests. And I'm focused on, and it wasn't intentional at first, but now it kind of is. um, on finding people who are child free. That to me is really important because it's an unrepresented like subset of the population, especially as women. Like it's always tell me about yourself, and it's like I'm a mom, and
Yeah.
although the child free status never even comes up at all, and it's just like a non-issue, it's just a really cool conversation and to showcase somebody who is like me,
Yeah.
who is maybe even older, who we can see ourselves going down that path in 10, 15
Yeah.
years. Like, oh, your life's going to be dope without kids in 15 years. Oh, yeah. All right. Awesome. I could see that. I could see that happening. So, yeah, I think the conversations are just really powerful about people who are trailblazing new ways of being,
Yeah.
um, who are doing things that might seem crazy, but are just innovative when it comes to changing the conversation, changing the way that we do things. And I think that's how we move the needle forward and make progress. I've had some of my favorite guests have been my friend Hannah, who flew from Kansas City, Missouri to London to
Uh,
have open heart surgery for her dog.
oh,
Beautiful story. I
yeah.
found another woman who has traveled to like 36 different countries around the world seeing Backstreet Boys shows.
Yeah. That's
What?
awesome.
And then there's deeper conversations around
Yeah.
like, you know, a woman who goes to college and speaks on like inclusion and equity with students who have family members who are incarcerated.
Yeah.
So, just I think things that often can be seen as taboo or weird or untouched topics, like I'm diving in and we're going in hard and we're going to have a conversation. And hopefully there is a spark for anybody listening to be like, you know what? Here's the thing I've always wanted to do. And here's the thing that's weird. And here's the thing that people tell me is crazy. Here's the thing that I'm telling myself is crazy. And I'm like, no, go do it. Do you want to like quit your job and go join the circus? Go do it. Do you want to travel around the world and see the Backstreet Boys? Amazing. You know,
That's
I think that these are the things that inspire me because I'm a free spirit, and
yeah. Yeah. That's
yeah,
how I am.
I think there's just like so many ways that we can live and again find joy in life. And that's what the empowered
Yeah.
millennials is about, making empowered choices in your life that feel good for you, regardless of what anybody
Exactly.
thinks.
Exactly. Now, my guests have been amazing too. And I'll just talk about this one because she has set the bar high on views. So,
Yeah, who is
I
she?
Nancy,
Can you
Nancy is her first name. I won't
okay.
give, but if you go back and
I'll find
she has
Nancy. Let's see.
contact, it's like a brave new world. She has contact with the aliens. Now, honestly, when I heard this, I was like, whoa, I want it. And I was like, maybe people don't want to hear it. No, I want to hear it. And then I told my daughter, I want this. And my daughter's like, yes, mom, you're opening
Yeah.
up. So I'm open to a lot of new topics.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, maybe it's the truth coming out, not just a story. I don't want to call it, just the story. There's truth behind our experiences. So, but, looking at every guest I've had, they have been wonderful. And if they write a book or have music, I opened up a store on the page so that they can go buy the books and everything. And I had a lady on, she has workbook meditation books so you can color
Oh
in.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. I want to go Christmas shopping on my own site now and get some workbooks. But like, people will tell me like, I have this and this, and these are a free book right now. There was another guest and I was happy he came on, the Zen Dad. And he talked about the routines and stuff, about putting children to bed and how to be a good father. And, I think it goes both ways when you're divorced and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, he got to open up and talk about what it is. So, I mean, there's so many special people out there. And I love the new guests that are coming in because I'm looking at their stories and going, oh my gosh, this is going to be wonderful, you know?
Yeah, I love that for you.
Well, I love it for you too, because I can
Thank
tell your
you.
energy is very amazing and awesome. So,
Thanks. I
but
appreciate that.
you're welcome. And with your journey of doing all these fun things, I'm happy. You're a great person. It's gonna work
Oh,
out
thank you.
because you're gonna do what? Exercise. Is it like a class or what is it?
Yeah, it's a virtual class. What Remix is a virtual class, and I also and yeah, and it's a meditation. I follow the Zen Rage Heal process, which is
Okay.
to, and it's also rooted in like neurolinguistic programming and therapy. And I also coach on that, like as a life coach and empowerment coach. So
Yay.
to Zen on something to get clear and breathe like that nervous system regulation can be really powerful because we're all
Okay.
coming from like chaos in our life, you know? And we're so,
No
you know,
wonder the
showing up,
doctors are getting rich.
yeah, it's fucking chaos. And then to rage is to like release and activate and move energy out with intention because rage with intention can be really powerful.
Oh yeah,
Rage
definitely.
without it, you become like a miserable person who's like now
Hmm.
being canceled and recorded and stuff like that. But I think when you intentionally like decide to release something, it can be very powerful. And then we close out every class with a healing guided meditation where it's about, okay, what did I learn? What did I take from this? What do I now know about myself?
Yeah,
What I
definitely.
prove? What can I now take with me into my life? And that's also how I approach my coaching clients too. Like if you are coming with me and you're feeling stuck or trapped or hesitant to go take action in your life, like I said, do you want to quit your job and join the circus? And you're like, I don't know, this is what my heart tells me to do. And I'm like, okay, let's breathe, let's figure out what we want, let's
Yeah,
figure out what those limiting beliefs are. How do we release some of that limiting belief? How do we reprogram and take
yeah.
action on something else? And then how do we reflect on what's working, what's not, so that we always stay in alignment? So there is an empowerment
Those.
process to my coaching as well with fitness. So yeah, that's kind of like how I fuse the two together because it is, if you're doing work on your body, I
Yeah,
think it's an easy entry point. Movement is always an easy entry point. But then what? When you start
exactly.
having these revelations in class of like, damn it, I'm not setting boundaries. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm laying on this mat sweating and I just did 30 seconds of the hardest shit I've ever done in my life. And you know what? I am badass. I am gangster. And you know what? I am going to go into work tomorrow and I am going to ask for that promotion because it's been weighing on me for 6 months. Like that's sort of how it goes. And when you reach that point when you're really ready to like come
Yeah,
out of the shell and start living on your terms, that's
yeah,
where that's where we work together and that's where there's the one-on-one coaching.
yeah. Because I learned I would bottle up stuff,
Most people
especially
do.
at jobs, and
Mhm.
I'll put all my work into everything, and I will be open to my past company bosses. This is how I feel. I teach that with relationships. Communication is important. It should be
Mhm.
the same way with a job. Tell them how you feel, like what would make your job easier and stuff like that. And you're right. If you need a raise, speak up,
Yeah. Well, I
you
think
know,
a lot of women, I can't, obviously this is my experience, so I'll speak anecdotally on it, but I think if we go back in time and we look at like the way that women have been oppressed in terms of like
yeah.
financial agency and social agency, it we've learned a lot of deference. We learned a lot of absorption of the
Hmm.
patriarchy, and I'm not trying to get politicized on all this, but I think when we as women have been told to just shh, just be quiet, be
Yeah.
a good girl. We internalize that and we learn to abandon our own needs and stuff it
Hmm.
down. And I think as we get deeper into our life and life becomes more complicated.
Hmm.
I mean, this is like some adult shit level. Like I
Yep.
didn't like nobody prepared me for this. Do you know? But we're not, I think as we stuff it down and we start having deeper feelings, more complicated things, I think that's where we can get ourselves into trouble, where we become angry, explosive, shutting down, depressed, eating our feelings, drinking it away because we don't have the right tools to regulate ourselves and we don't have the right tools to be able to navigate some of these feelings that are coming up that are really painful and hard. We just don't have
Yeah.
the language and we don't have the tools. So I think, that's what we were taught. And that can have such negatively impactful, like it
Yeah.
just negatively impacts our entire life if we don't start identifying what we feel and honoring that and working that out in a safe space, like a fitness class or with a coach or with a therapist or in a community setting. Like that
Yeah.
stuff festers. And then when that energy that festers in your body doesn't have a place to release, that creates inflammation, it creates dysbiosis, it creates cancer, and you start having physical symptoms in your body.
Oh yeah. 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 So I'm
That's the
going to share.
science. That's science. I don't make that up. That's science.
The last podcast I did, she recommended a book called
The
The
body keeps the
Secret.
score.
No, but
Oh,
hey, Body Keeps the Score, huh?
The Body
Okay.
Keeps the Score is all about, that's a really great book. It's really scientific and can be heavy, but I think if you can take the premise away from it, it's how trauma in terms of like big trauma, like war, sexual assault, big traumas, but then
Yeah.
also like the little traumas of like emotional neglect,
Yeah.
that that energy, the way that that stays in your body and the way that it creates like neural pathways, the way that it creates pattern and disrupts our thinking and our thought process, it's a really really great book
Yeah.
on like where trauma stays in the body and how it's stored long term.
Wow. I want to get that book now too.
Yeah, Bessel something. That's the guy's name. The Body Keeps the Score. Bessel van. It's like a Dutch or Scandinavian something.
All
I'm
right.
so sorry. I do not know the guy's name.
It's like whatever
Love
your
the
name
book.
is, you have a good book.
Love the book. Love the book.
He'll be reaching out to us. Can I come on your
Yeah.
podcast?
Oh my God, I would love. You know what? Nini? I'm gonna write that down. Get
What?
on the podcast. Bessel on pod. I bet he would.
I bet he would too. I want him to. And
Listen,
then
you'd be surprised who I reach out to. I'm just like, I'm scrolling through TikTok or Instagram. And I'm like, oh, that person's cool. Let me do that. Or I'm watching a movie
yeah,
and I was like, that was great. And I'll find the actor or something. And
yeah.
sometimes people say yes.
Well, you're lucky because the first one I reached out on TikTok, it became a catfish scenario. And it was 10 different accounts. And on my TikTok, like I changed my TikTok and you guys can go and click on it.
Yeah, that's
But I like this thing. So I'm showing myself saying, or I'll just have a moment of clarity and I talked about catfishing on there, like how stupid it is. At first, it was this, I want to give you VIP membership. So I would need this from you.
Oh yeah, I don't pay attention to any of that shit. Yeah.
I want to get to Texas. I'm out here in Switzerland. Can you help me? Then money. And then it was like, no, 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 don't answer. Don't. I think it was at the 10th one. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. I don't know why people use my name and da da da. I was like, no, this is not real either. That was my first thought. But then the more he talked, because he did not say WhatsApp app or Telegram. He's like, we could just talk here. I want you to feel safe. You're in a good, and he played it well. And the Jersey girl that I was like, so do you like catfishing? He's like, catfishing. And I was like, because I know I'm not stupid here, but I said, don't ever write me again. So I was like, that has been one of my experience.
Yeah.
Doing the podcast, but is there names to be given? Yeah. There's people that, and Nadia, I love her. Nadia Vey, she found me and I'm happy for that off of TikTok, but her producer reached me and that helps us understand, hey, this is legit. This is real. These are real links. This is her media kit. I had everything to feel that trust and confidence to bring her
that's important.
everything. So good job. So, but I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for
coming
having
on
me.
to keep hope alive and sharing your story and everything. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors who make this happen, which is great. So lifeonrecord.com, of course, with their interactive guest book. Then we have Bridal Shows Inc. And that's a .com also. If you're in the Dallas Fort Worth area and you are shopping for vendors to plan your event, this is the perfect time. You can go onto their website. I think they do about 4 different shows, but I know January, July, September. I'm probably missing one. So, but anyways, they've been around for a long time. Then I already talked too much about partytimetexas.com. But anyways, Miles and Smiles. I love her. DeborahRose.com. She does handwriting analysis and then lipstick reading. And it's so cool because I've always been like, yeah, there's no way this is going to be right. She was accurate on everybody in our office, and she has gone out into the event industry, and she's creating these new fun things to do with it. And she's an investigator too. So it's pretty cool. Then I have Mr. Bryce Harney, the magician and mentalist. He is traveling all over the United States doing these shows right now, but you can find him at brycemagic.com. And then we have Mr. richmondpunch.net, and he is a violinist. He's been doing it for many of years, played in front of 1 million people, has been on some shows, I guess, from Lifetime also. But he is a Dallas, I think Dallas born too. Maybe not. I shouldn't even say where he was born. He lived in Dallas for a long time. I think he's in Atlanta, but he will travel back and forth, he said. So, and he'll go all around the world. I know that. But he's, a couple of these sponsors already have a podcast with me. So I know you can see Miles and Smiles, you can see Richmond's, and you can see Bridal Shows on Keep Hope Alive podcast.com. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe. Wherever you can find your podcast is where you can find Keep Hope Alive. But other than that, I look forward to seeing all your new accomplishments in life. You got to keep in touch, girl.
Thank you. I definitely will. I definitely will.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you everybody for listening.
Love and light to everybody. Bye-bye.